Welcome everybody to the Career and Life Show. It is March, and if that's one thing, it's March Madness. Just like that. We have the NCAA Championship. Thank you for my assist. My lovely assistant, Gavin, he's right here. You can take the ball away. We have none other than the great Allan Ray, Villanova standout, former National Player of the Year candidate, played for Villanova, played for the Boston Celtics in the NBA, played overseas in various leagues, now as a sports agent, and also too, he has a home-based business. So we're going to talk about all that, what it's like with all the hype being one of the biggest recruiting classes ever in college basketball back in the early 2000s, signing for Villanova, that transition from high school to college, then to the NBA, and then to overseas. And then once you're done playing, what do? He becomes a sports agent, and then also he has a home-based business. So we're going to find out, how do you transition to all that from playing professional basketball? And let's find out what he's up to now. We're going to talk about the NIL, which is the name, image, and likeness piece in college basketball that's dominating the landscape, and who's going to be in the Final Four and the ultimate national champion. Without further ado, let's bring on Allan Ray.
Our world is changing faster and faster. Humans are constantly on the go. Over 70% of people are not happy in some way. They're living in the shadows of fear, especially in their careers and life. Are we humans doomed? I don't think so. And that's where I come in. My name is Joseph Stanley Reichowski, otherwise known as Joe Woo. Each week, I seek to uncover what it takes to truly live your life to the fullest by finding out through interviewing people what were their failures and what did it take for them to reach success. Their stories are truly inspiring, and perhaps they'll inspire you to let go of your fear and live your career and life to the fullest.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Career and Life Show. I am with none other than the great Allan Ray from Villanova, played in the NBA and basketball overseas. Allan, thanks for joining us. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're calmed down from Nova's game yesterday. So Allan, it's great. He and I go back on Twitter a lot. I love it. It's the camaraderie is great, and I just enjoy that. It adds so much to the fun of it. So thanks for doing that. It's always fun to have some fun out there.
Yeah, I think that's really fun getting to like interact with the fans and get to like see the game and see what you guys think from a fan's perspective. I mean, I'm a fan now too. You know, I'm not on the court anymore, so it's definitely cool to get like a different perspective.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, basketball is my sport, so I soak it up all the time. I mean, once it's over, it's like I'm watching over the summer, watching replays, and I don't know how many times I watched Jenkins shot. So it's always good. It's a good pick me up.
One of the best shots, or if not the best shot in basketball history, like NBA, college, like any level. That was an amazing shot.
Yeah, I was something that's. I mean, it's hard to believe that's 6 years ago now. I just, where's the time gone?
Shoot, time flies. I'm almost 38.
Yeah, I'm 46. So take me back to like the first time you picked up a basketball and said, you know, this is something I want to do, or you just started kind of growing into saying, I think this is fun. This is what I want to do. What was that age for you that you were like, I got to do this?
Man, I think I was about 6 years old when I really started to like really fall in love with basketball. I used to go to the park and my father used to play, and I just wanted to go everywhere with my father. So I would just like tag along with him and, you know, watch him play in the neighborhood park. And I would be on the sidelines. If there was an open court, I would be shooting on the court. And I think around 6 years old, he kind of started training me a little bit. You know, I was really invested in the game. I used to watch basketball all the time when we was at home. And then he started training me, teaching me how to shoot, teaching me how to dribble. And then from there, I mean, I just fell in love with the game.
That's awesome. That's great. And then you went to a high school, St. Raymond's in New York then?
Yeah, I ended up going to St. Raymond's High School in the Bronx. It's in the same borough that I lived in. It wasn't close to where I grew up at, but it was one of the most prestigious high schools at the time. And
Right.
I wanted to be at a big time program. I wanted to play in big time games. That's what I practiced for. That's what I worked out for. All the videos I watched, like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. I used to watch those guys playing in the NBA Finals. Like I just wanted to be in the big time.
Yep. That's awesome. Now, and you had a great, high school career, and then obviously going to Villanova, sooner, highly touted recruit. What made you choose, Villanova? Because at that time, it was Coach Wright's, sort of first couple of years, and he's building something. It's a little bit different. So, what was kind of the thing that said, "Hey, I want to go here"?
So I always liked the Big East. I used to watch Villanova when I was younger. I watched Kerry Kittles play. I always remember the high sock or the one sock
One
up,
side.
one sock down.
Yep.
So I remember watching him dunk over all the teams, and I remember those uniforms. Villanova's had some sick uniforms back in the day,
Yep.
and I used to love those uniforms. So I was being recruited by St. John's, Seton Hall, but I just felt like these schools were a little too close.
Right.
I wanted to get away from New York. I wanted to kind of go a little further away, but not too far away. I also was getting recruited by Memphis as well with
Oh, wow.
Coach Calipari. So
Wow.
those are like my top two teams, Memphis and Villanova. And
Wow.
I mean, I had Florida, I had Wake Forest. Those schools were kind of like far away, so I really didn't give much consideration
Sure.
to going to those schools. And I also had NC State as well.
Oh, wow.
My high school teammate went to NC State, and I don't know, for some reason NC State thought that I wanted to play with my teammate again from high school and college, and that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Um, so I just felt like Villanova was the perfect fit for me. At the time, Dewan Wagner had went to Memphis,
That's right.
and I wanted to go somewhere where I could like help build the program and like be somebody that's gonna play and get a lot of minutes and kind of put my stamp on the program and help them get back to the glory days. So I didn't go to Memphis because I felt like Dewan Wagner, even though everybody was saying he was going to the league after his
Right.
freshman year, which he did
Yeah.
go.
Right.
I just wasn't banking on it. You never know what could happen. So I just didn't want to get in that kind of situation because I was in that situation in high school. I played
Sure.
behind a very great player, Julius Hodge, and
Oh,
I just
wow.
kind of wanted to do my own thing. So I decided Villanova was the best place. It was a program that at the time wasn't the greatest program, but had a lot of history. And I was like, Coach Wright, he was at Hofstra. He was recruiting me at Hofstra. I got to meet him. I got to talk with him. Coach Joe Jones, who was assistant coach at the time
Right.
on the staff. I built a great relationship with him. Coach Lang right now, who's coaching St.
Yep.
Joe's, he was there at the time as well. Built a great relationship with him, and they just made it feel like family for me. And it was just a no brainer for me to choose Villanova.
That's
And
awesome.
also they were sponsored by Nike, so that was a big plus
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. I was like, oh, this is cool. Cause it was like, I think I graduated and then it was like, I don't know what it was, Adidas or something with the crazy uniforms in the 90s. And then it was like, all of a sudden it's like Nike came in. It's like, wow. I'm like, we got Nike. I'm like, that is really cool. And I was like, I want the uniform. So give me this one, give me that one. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, so you came in with Curtis Sumner, Jason Frazier, and Randy Foye. That was some class. I got to find the paper because the Philadelphia Inquirer had the four of you guys in that section and it was on there. And I was like, I still have it somewhere. I can't find it somewhere in my basement, my treasure trove of stuff. But I just
Yeah.
remember I was like, wow, this is going to be something. What was that like with all the hype? I mean, you guys coming in, the media is like, hey, these guys are highly touted. I mean, how do you handle that hype and sort of keep it, realistic? Like, okay, we got to get in there and build a program.
So it's funny because I was the first one to recruit to sign And I remember after I signed, Coach Wright is like, okay, now you gotta help me get Randy. Now you gotta help me get Curtis. Now you gotta help me get Jason. So I remember like literally being on the phone with these guys. I didn't really talk to Randy too much because I don't know, I didn't have his number, or I don't know. I didn't talk to him as much as I talked to Curtis and Jason. You know, them guys being from New York, we kind of knew each other and were a little bit familiar. I think that's what it was.
Right.
I remember I was talking with Curtis, talking with Jason. You know, being a salesman. You know, come to Villanova, we can do this, we can do that,
Right.
and they all wind up signing. Like it was crazy. And then you know, next thing you know, we one of the top recruiting classes in the country. We started getting a lot of hype. And it was good. It was good. You know, I can't sit here and say that I didn't enjoy that. You know, we got a lot of attention, but at the end of the day, we all played at big time programs at school, so we kind of knew how to handle that a little bit. Didn't really let it get to our heads too much. Just stay humble. You know, that was one of the big things about me. You know, I always want to stay humble. You know, sometimes I might be out there on the court, I talk my mess or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm confident, but you know, I always remain humble. But it was definitely a good feeling, especially coming into college. You know, it just made us feel more at home, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I love that about, you know, like Villanova students and athletes and stuff. It's like the humble, hungry. It's like, you got that little swagger, but also to the end of the day, it's like the humbleness that's so cool that's there. Cause it's like, I always said, like with Coach Wright and even players, it's like, you could really like, you know, steal a wallet, car from him. And like, he's still like, just like, hey, I'm here, you know? And I'm like, that's like, I love that attitude. It's absolutely amazing. And I know in the beginning I was like, oh, attitude. Okay. And then like, you start seeing it and you start seeing over time how it progresses, and you see guys like at the end of the game diving for loose balls. It's like, who's doing this? Like, you don't see it. And now every other team is like starting to do a lot of that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
Attitude is one of the big things that we learned when we got there. Just like always try to stay level headed and not let anything affect you. That was one of the big things.
Yeah. I remember back in 2006, you had what I felt was like one of the scariest injuries I've ever seen. I still remember. It's like, where were you at? I remember watching on TV a Big East tournament when it was a Krauser, I think from Pittsburgh or something, or Pitt,
Yeah,
banged in and hit her eye. My wife was like in nursing school, and I remember saying to her, because we're watching, I'm like, and this was before like social media, was like no Twitter, no Facebook. So I'm like literally trying to figure out, I'm like, you know, going on ESPN, refresh. I'm like, what happened? What's the status? Cause it looked so like freaking scary. I'm like, it didn't look good. And I was like, man, so how do you overcome something like that? Obviously the scariness of it, and then just the injury, because you were playing in less than a week. And I never forget that. I'm like, how is he playing? And it was awesome to see.
Yeah, so it was a lot. It looked a lot worse than it was.
Yeah.
So when I got poked, Carl, he poked me in the eye, but his finger kind of poked me up top,
Okay.
which just caused my eyelid to go behind my eye. So like his
Oh,
finger
wow.
kind of, it got in there,
Wow.
and the my eyelid went behind my eye, so it kind of looked like my eyeball protruded a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you don't have an eyelid covering it, it looks like that.
Right.
So the most pain that I really had was when it initially happened. The
Sure.
wind and everything was hitting my eyeball, and it was kind of burning my eye. You know, that's what the eyelid does. It protects your
Yeah.
eye from
Right.
stuff like that. So my eyeball was burning. And I just remember asking Jeff, who was a trainer at the time, like, I'm like, Jeff, like,
Yeah.
why can't I see, and why is my eye burning? And he is just like, if you can see him, he's like holding my eye, carrying me off the court.
I remember that.
And
Yeah. I was like, oh.
yeah. And I'm talking,
Well,
I'm like, Jeff, like, why is my eye burning? Like, why can't I see? And he's just like, it's gonna be all right, A-Ray. And I was like, oh, nobody want to tell me what's going on.
right.
And then I remember getting on the ambulance, and my mother was there with me, and I asked her the same question. I'm like, Mom, like, what's up with my eye? Like, why can't I see? Why is it burning?
Right.
She's just like, we take you to your hospital right now. They're gonna take care of everything. It's gonna be all right.
Jeez.
So at this point, I'm just freaking out because nobody
Yeah.
telling me what happened. And I just remember passing out in the ambulance and waking up in the
Wow.
hospital on the bed. And I opened my eyes, and my father was just like standing over me with like this blank look on his face. He's just like looking at me, and I'm able to see. I couldn't see before I passed out.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I feel a little better. And my father was like, everything is good. My vision was just a little bit blurry, and but I just had a lot of pain from like the impact of him like
Yeah.
hitting my eyeball. So my eyeball was real sore. They wanted me to wear goggles for the tournament,
Right.
but I had water goggles one time through warm ups during practice, and I was just like, I can't do
Yeah.
this. Like,
It's,
I can't wear the goggles. So
no.
I, I wound up playing without the goggles. They really wanted me to, but I just couldn't do it. And I was blessed that it wasn't worse than what it was because I was still able to play. It was
Right.
just sore. That was the main thing. My vision, everything was good. And it was
Yeah.
my senior year. There was no way I was missing any games
That's what I was
from
gonna
that.
say, because at first I'm like, all right, this looks real bad, and I'm like, I'm sitting there praying, I'm like, all right, hopefully it's just something, it'll be fine, something. And then when it came out, like I think a day or two later, like, yeah, you'll be fine. It was just a real bad poke or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, there's no way he's not taking a game off. He's back playing the next game easily. Can't do
Yeah,
that senior
and
year.
I was more upset too at the fact that
Yeah,
like I wanted to win that Big East championship that year so bad.
I
Like
know.
that was one of we wanted to win a championship so bad, and like
Yeah.
I was kind of pissed off at that more
Oh,
than
I'm
like the
sure.
odd situation.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, damn, it doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you had a phenomenal career. I mean, it was just honestly like a pleasure watching you guys play because I was like, first like, okay, how's this all going to work out? A new coach, from Hofstra. I'm like, is this going to be cool? And then just seeing you guys hustle on the court. I mean, I remember when it just first started, people are diving. Like even any game, everybody's playing out. I'm like, okay, I like this. This is cool. It's what I do. I love the hustle and just the grind and just keep moving. So it was awesome, awesome career.
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And then so, and one of the things that still bothers me is you went undrafted, which I think that was BS. You should have been drafted. It's just the way things work out. But
Yeah.
obviously Boston signs you, so you play in the NBA. So what was that like kind of transitioning from college to the NBA? And you played there for a little bit and then obviously went overseas and stuff like that. But what was that transition like kind of from college to the pros basically?
It was a great experience, honestly, to tell you the truth. It's everybody's dream that plays basketball to make it to that level, and I was fortunate to make it to that level. It might sound crazy right now for me saying this, but I'm pretty sure if you ask any other guys that's in the league right now, like Jalen and Josh and those guys, Mikkel, I kind of feel like the NBA is a little bit more easier than college because college, the court is not as big.
Right.
Um, in college, you can sit in a lane. NBA, you can't sit in a lane like that.
Right.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more space, and you're playing with a superstar. Like it doesn't matter what team you're on, you're playing with
Right.
superstar. So I was playing with Paul Pierce. I had
Wow.
Al Jefferson on my team, and these guys were getting double teamed night in, night out. So I used to get a lot of wide open shots, and I used to get to the basket because nobody wanted to help off those guys.
Right.
At Villanova in college, that's not happening. You got
Yep.
guys stepping in, trying to take charges and help
Yep.
defense, kicking out teams playing zone. So yeah, that wasn't happening. But it was definitely a great experience. Something that I always think about all the time.
Yeah, and then you obviously go to Italy. You played in France, Germany, Croatia, and I totally forgot about Turkey, and I think it was Lebanon too. So, what made you kind of go overseas? Was it just one of those things where it's like, all right, let me go overseas, see how this works out, and then you won some league championships, which is awesome. But what was that like to kind of go overseas and do something different?
It was a great experience because me, I'm very open minded. It was great to like get to see different cultures and see how different people live and see different places. I never had been out the country before I went overseas and just going to Italy. Playing in Italy, I played in Italy for maybe like 7 years. Italy
Wow.
has the best food I've ever tasted in my
Yep.
life, like hands down the best food ever. I visited the Trevi Fountain. I got to see the
Oh wow.
Colosseum. Like all of those were great experiences. Just being able to go see those places. France, going to Paris, seeing the Eiffel Tower. Like
Wow.
this is stuff you see on TV
Yeah,
that, you know, a lot of people have never seen before except for in pictures. And I've got to like visit these places. And
that's
it
awesome.
was great, the experience playing basketball, different style of basketball over there. But it was definitely a great experience. Definitely.
That's awesome. And then you conclude your career, is it like 2019 you stopped playing or kind of retired, I guess? Was it?
Yeah, yeah. It was I guess it was 2019. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to be home because you're away for about 10 months out
Yeah.
the year. The season is real long, strenuous, and you know, you just sometimes you just want to be around family, be back home. So you know, I figured I did a lot. I've seen enough. You know, there's nothing else left for me to accomplish. Yeah, I've won a
Yep.
championship on that level. College is the only level that I didn't win a championship on, but high school,
Right.
pro. So I was just like, you know, it's about that time. You know, I
Yeah.
just definitely wanted to start doing other things as well.
Right. And then you transition to, I think it's AMR sports agency. So you're sports agent still now. And then you have another Ray Home Solutions, I think it is. So what's that like, kind of going
Yeah.
from professional sports at that level to transitioning into entrepreneurship, basically?
I think it's great. You know, I've always had that in me. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I remember being a little kid saying that I wanted to have my own business, and
Cool.
it was obviously a dream for me to have my own business now. Doing with the investing in real estate. Right now, I'm flipping houses and working on getting some rental properties.
Nice.
I love doing that actually. You know, I just like that process of seeing it going from nothing to turn out to something, and then like seeing the smiles on the families' houses, the families that buy the house, you know, that's also like great for me, you know, making
That's
other
got to be
people
cool.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like improving other people's quality of life, you know, that's how I look at it. And then
Yeah.
with AMR, that's my guy's Aaron Riley, that's his agency. He's a Villanova grad. He
Oh, that's
went to
right.
Villanova Business. Yeah. So it's cool working with him and getting to know the ins and outs of the business and learning how to recruit and things of that nature. Because I really want to venture into that and that kind of be like my main thing that I'm doing. And you know, obviously, real estate on the side. But I would
Yeah.
definitely love to be like the sports agent. You know, have my own agency one day.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. You got the drive, definitely, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I love it. I actually love talking to kids, talking to their parents, and just just telling them my story. You know, and I think that's where
yeah.
I have the advantage and the edge. You know, that I differ from a lot of other agents. You know, I've been in a situation that these kids are about to go into. You know,
Yep. Yeah, and you can tell them exactly how it is. If you play in the NBA overseas, what it's like. The do's and don'ts and all that. So that's huge, I'm sure.
no BS, just
Yep.
everything straight.
Yep. I love it. So with the whole NIL thing now, the whole name, image, and likeness thing. I mean, that's a long time coming because I couldn't stand that. I'm like, all these guys, I mean, you guys bust your ass for years, and it's like, why won't the NCAA see that? I was so glad to see that. So how does that now impact, sports? I mean, you see everybody now getting deals, which is great, but you think that's going to be in the long run a really good thing, or is that going to mess things up, or since it's still fairly new?
Yeah, well, that was a big question. A lot of people were concerned about, especially the coaches,
Yeah.
how the kids going to respond to having deals and having other obligations outside of basketball. And as you can see with Villanova, it really hasn't made an impact. And you know, guys still remain committed to the program and to winning. You know, because there's a couple of guys on that team that have like some deals and stuff like that. I see little
Yeah.
stuff they put up on social media and things like that. But I mean, right now, I kind of think it's still early, and you know, you kind of got to be careful with it. You know, the NCAA already is talking about doing an investigation. You know, NCAA doing the NCAA what they
I
do.
know, I know. Yep.
They're already talking about like investigating some stuff. So it's still kind of complex and new.
Right.
But I think it's a great opportunity for guys and girls
Yep.
to actually get paid for what they're doing. You know, this is kind of like semi-pro, kind of pro. if you think about it, they generate a whole bunch of money for these schools and universities. So I think it's only right for them to at
Yeah,
least see some kind of money or have an opportunity
something.
to make some money. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think it's going to be good long term. It's just going to take some time to iron stuff out, and hopefully, NCAA leadership would be like, okay, this is good, and not try to mess around with it, because that's the last thing you need for the whole college sports thing. Because to me, college sports is still pure. I mean, it's nothing but great to watch a football game and see kids play their hearts out, and especially when I'm Villanova, it's like these guys just play their hearts out every single game, and it's like they give it their all, and it's a great thing to see them get rewarded for that in a way, which I think hopefully in the long run it'll be ironed out even more, and it'll be great.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to see more in the future.
Yeah. So what do you think? We got a tough road ahead in March Madness. I mean, obviously Michigan be a tough game, but then obviously Arizona could be looming. They look tough. So what do you think we got to do? We got to do there?
I mean, well, first you got to look at Michigan.
Yep.
I actually like this matchup because once again, I like the Big Ten because they only play a certain style of basketball. It's just like
Right.
pound you inside. They always have good big men, and there's not a lot of speed in that league.
Right.
Like I felt that's where our advantage was with Ohio State. Like we just showed them a different level of speed and quickness that kind
Yeah.
of threw them off guard in the beginning of the game, and they had to play catch up from the beginning. So I think the same thing with Michigan, man. We gotta put their bigs in situations that they don't want to be in, one on one at the top of the key, put them in ball screens and see how they react to that. We already know that they're going to try to pound it inside and
Oh yeah.
try to score on us because we're smaller. But I mean, Jermaine has been doing a great job. He's guarding guys like 4 inches taller than him and like really holding his own. And these guys, and they can't score him. And Easy is developing as a great defensive player as well down low because he's not a pushover down there as well. And
Yeah.
then you got Slater who can guard every single position on the court. So I really like our odds against Michigan. I think it's going to
I
be
do
a
too.
good game.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a really good game. I think we have an advantage with their guards. I think we're bigger than their guards. So we can go down to that post up with JMO and Dizzy Gillespie.
Yep.
We can get that post up and then just work off from there because if they don't come and send a double, we can score down there. So they're gonna have
Easily.
to pick they're gonna have to pick their poison, like
Yep.
seriously. But we can't play Michigan basketball. We gotta
Yeah.
play Villanova basketball. That's what we did against Ohio State. We made Ohio State play Villanova basketball. We didn't play like how Ohio State wanted to play it. We didn't let them dictate the game.
And that was great. And that
And
was what I kept saying. I was like, wow, I'm like, they're not dictating on. I'm like waiting and waiting. And I'm like, all right. And then with this, I think a lot of fans are like, okay, well, we know what happened in 2018 after we beat Michigan. Then they came back and stomped on us. I'm like, well, it's a different team, different coach, different style. So you can't really, say, hey, that's exactly who we played back then. A couple players still there, but again, I think it's a good matchup for us.
yeah, for sure. I'm excited about it. I
Me
don't
too.
want to kind of look past that game, but
Yeah, I know.
you know, is Arizona and who else? Houston.
Yeah, Arizona, and I think is he Houston, I think, or something. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I feel like Arizona. You saw what happened in Arizona. I don't know if you watched the game
Yeah, I
yesterday.
did. Yep.
Yeah. They're vulnerable. They can be beat. I feel the same. I feel like Houston is probably the best matchup because they kind of play like how we play. Tough, grind it out. Um, Defense, play hard on defense, get to the basket. So like,
Yep.
I think Houston would be a good matchup to it.
Think
But
so.
either one, either team, we gonna be ready for them. But we
I
got to
think
get
so.
past Michigan first.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Be on the edge of our seat again. So, last question I have for you, and then I'll let you go. I really appreciate your time. So, what's one piece of advice you can give, an athlete? Like, if you were to say to something like one special piece of advice that would really make sense for everybody.
For just like any athlete,
Yeah. Just
yeah,
anything in general, like, hey, just whatever it is, like, to just stay true to yourself or whatever it is.
yeah. I mean, I would definitely say, you know, play the game or with like whatever you're doing with it, like with a passion. don't worry about anything else, like individual. I think that's the most important thing, especially if you're playing with a team sport. Just focus on winning, and all that other stuff will come. That's one of the big things that I learned. You know, if I didn't focus on winning and was just worried about like individual stats and stuff like that, I would have never had the career that I had. And just by me focusing on winning, all of the individual accolades came. So I would definitely say, always focus on winning, especially as a team sport. Like, do what you got to do to win the game. Everything else will fall into place.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, you focus on that. The rest of the stuff will eventually take care of itself.
Yep, it does every time.
Yep, and winning cures all too. That's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, and I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. So Allan Ray, everybody, thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, appreciate you having me. And whenever you want to do it again, we can do it.
Yeah, but I like this. We definitely have to. And of course, obviously, as we say, go Cats.
For sure.
And just like that, another Career in Life show comes to an end. And of course, day turns to night. It is now night here in the East Coast. It's after 8 p.m. What an awesome journey down memory lane. Thank you, Allan Ray, for joining me on the Career in Life show. It was great to talk about your storied career in high school and, of course, college at Villanova, Nova Nation, and your journey into the NBA, and then, of course, obviously into the various leagues overseas, and how you became a champion, and now what you're doing, giving back, working as a sports agent, helping athletes along their journey in their career, and also now house flipping. What an awesome thing to be able to play professional sports and then have the ability to start your own business and actually help other people. And that's what it's all about. Love your humble approach, your attitude. You're truly a genuine guy, and that's why Nova Nation loves you and respects you for all you've done. Keep doing what you're doing. This was just so much fun. I love interviewing athletes because you see the passion, you feel the excitement, and now they're fans too, watching March Madness and watching sports. So Allan Ray, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna get ready to shoot some hoops here in the dark. Just kidding, it's March Madness. Time to make that shot. See you next time on the Career in Life show, everybody. Take care, bye-bye.